Nigeria, the year is 1993, a nation of more than 100 million people standing at the edge of chaos. The June 12 election believed to have been won by Moshood Abiola has been annulled. Protests fill the streets. Confidence in government is broken. The people demand democracy, but what they receive instead is a new military ruler, General Sani Abacha. Abacha dissolves the Armed Forces Ruling Council. In its place, he creates the Provisional Ruling Council, the PRC. This council becomes the supreme authority. Every decision, every decree, every policy all flow through the PRC. This is the story of Abacha's Provisional Ruling Council. Its members, its powers, its legacy, and how it shaped Nigeria's history. To understand the PRC, we must first understand Nigeria before her in 1960. Nigeria has struggled with political instability, civil war, coups, corruption. The promise of democracy often broken by the reality of military rule. By the early 1990s, Nigeria was restless. The annulment of the June 12 election was the final straw. The nation demanded change, but instead of democracy, it received dictatorship, On November 17, 1993, General Sani Abacha seized control. He declared himself head of state. He dissolved the Armed Forces Ruling Council and he replaced it with the Provisional Ruling Council. The PRC was not just another committee. It was the ultimate authority. It combined executive, legislative, and military power. It ruled by decree. It answered only to Abacha. To Abacha alone. What was the PRC? It was a council of senior military officers and trusted allies. It was chaired by Abacha himself. It met regularly to decide policies, approve decrees, and manage the affairs of the nation. In theory, it was a collective leadership. In practice, it was Abacha's tool. He controlled the agenda. He controlled the outcomes. The PRC gave its dictatorship a formal structure. So now, let us meet the members. First, General Sani Abacha, head of state, the commander-in-chief, the chairman of the PRC. He held absolute authority. He chaired all meetings. Nothing moved without his approval, Next is Lieutenant General Oladipo Diya, Chief of General Staff, Vice Chairman of the PRC, Abacha's second in command. But in 1997, Diya was arrested for an alleged coup attempt. His fall showed the dangers of serving under Abacha, Another is Lieutenant General Bamayi, the Chief of Army Staff, central to security operations, especially after Diya's arrest. His loyalty kept him close to Abacha. Also, the Vice Admiral Alison Amechina Madueke, Chief of Naval Staff. He represented the Navy. He oversaw naval operations and reforms, Also, Air Marshal Nsikak Eduok, Chief of Air Staff. He shaped Nigeria's air power strategy. He spoke for the Air Force. And another is Lieutenant General Jeremiah Useni, Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, a long-term ally of Abacha, influential, political, one of the strongest voices in the council. Another is Major General Abdullahi Saki Mukhtar, the National Security Advisor. He coordinated intelligence. He was a key strategist, And another is Alhaji Gambo Jimeta, the Inspector General of Police. He handled national policing and internal security. And also is Lieutenant General Mohammed Buba Marwa. This is the military administrator, governor of Borno then. Governor of Borno, then. governor of Borno, then Lagos State, his strong performance in Lagos earned him a place in Abacha's inner circle. Also, his Colonel Mohammed Sambo Dasuki, the aide de camp to Abacha. He acted as a bridge between Abacha and intelligence units. And as well is the Major General Patrick Aziza, Minister of Communication, later Minister of Information. He defended government policies, he oversaw propaganda. Also is the Major General John Shagaya, served in various roles, joined PRC deliberations, especially in the early years. Also is Brigadier General Ibrahim Dabo, the principal staff officer to Abacha. He coordinated between the presidency and the military high command. And also is Lieutenant General Muhammad Inuwa Wushishi, the senior advisor and elder statesman. He occasionally joined PRC sessions, Together, these men formed the Provisional Ruling Council. They were the regime's brain, they were the regime's muscle, and they ruled Nigeria from 1993 to 1998, So what was the life under the PRC? It was a time of fear, a time of silence, a time when dissent was dangerous. The PRC ruled by decree. There was no parliament, no independent judiciary, no free press, Opposition was crushed. Activists were jailed. Journalists were silenced. Protests were broken. The PRC controlled the economy. It controlled the security forces. It controlled the narrative. Propaganda was everywhere. Government policies were defended. Critics were attacked. The PRC spoke with one voice, that is, the Abacha's voice. Several events defined the PRC era. The arrest of Oladipo Diya in 1997, accused of plotting a coup. He was tried by a military tribunal, sentenced to death, later spared after Abacha's death, And the imprisonment of Moshood Abiola, winner of the annulled June 12 election. He was jailed for declaring himself president. He remained in prison until his death in 1998. And also the repression of activists, Ken Saro Wiwa and the Ogoni Nine, executed in 1995. Their deaths shocked the world. Nigeria faced international sanctions as at the time. The PRC's foreign policy. Nigeria became isolated, sanctioned by the West, criticized by human rights groups. But Abacha remained defiant. On June 8, 1998, General Sani Abacha died suddenly. His death ended the PRC era. Within weeks, General Abdulsalami Abubakar took power. He dissolved the PRC. He began the transition to democracy. So by 1999, Nigeria returned to civilian rule. The PRC was gone, but its legacy remained. How do Nigerians remember the PRC? For many, it was a time of repression, a time of fear, a time when voices were silenced. For others, it was a time of stability, a time when the military had firm control. But history is clear. The PRC was a dictatorship. It concentrated power in the hands of a few. It delayed Nigeria's democracy. It left scars that are still healing. So what can we get through this? That democracy must be protected, that power must be checked, that no leader should rule by decree, that councils like the PRC must never return. Nigeria's journey continues. Its democracy is young. Its challenges are many, but its people remain resilient. The Provisional Ruling Council, born in 1993, died in 1998. It was powerful. It was feared. It was history. Today we look back not to glorify, but to understand, to remember, to learn. Because history, no matter how dark it is a teacher. And the story of Abacha's PRC is the one that Nigerians must never forget. If you found this documentary helpful, don't forget to hit the like button. It helps more people discover Nigeria's history. Subscribe now for more deep dives into African history, politics, and untold stories. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss our next documentary. Share this video with friends and family who care about Nigeria's past and future. Drop a comment below. What do you think about Abacha's Provisional Ruling Council? Let's start the conversation. I will see you in the next one.